If you're affirming every day, you believe that you're doing everything correctly, and you just don't know why the old story is still here. Why is your physical reality still showing the old story? Well, here is the real reason why. By the end of today's video, you guys will know exactly how to break that cycle, stop the negative loop from perpetuating itself and continuing any negative habits that are quite simple to break when you really understand what's causing it. So it's all within your control, and I'm going to get into all of that in today's video. So welcome back to my channel. Welcome to any new viewers. Thank you guys for joining. This is definitely going to be another beneficial video for you guys. We're going to jump straight into my advice, all the different points. As you guys know, I do my layout now. I break it up into sections. I've started putting fun little snazzy titles in between everything, so you're really gonna understand each point bit by bit. So I have quite a few things to tell you guys, so please do keep watching through to the end. Of course, do thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoy this content and you'd like to see more from me. It's really simple and quick, just pressing the buttons below. Speaking of which, everything in the description box includes all my links, getting extra support, coaching. You can become a member. I am literally about to sit down and film the exclusive members video for the month, which is going to be a special 7-day challenge. So do join us if you want to take part in that and then be part of the rest of the exclusive content. So yeah, everything is on screen, and now let's jump. So your old story and the old circumstances, so basically anything negative that led to the point that you're at now for anything that you're manifesting, is basically made up of not just the memories. It's not just, you know, what the core memories or core experiences and conversations that your mind just holds on to and that had emotional resonance for you. It's also literally the inner conversation you're having now. Everything you've been kind of thinking and repeating to yourself up till now, even if it might feel like quite insignificant, simple thoughts, those are things that also make up the old story. Because, you know, you've conditioned, you, not obviously knowingly or on purpose, but you've conditioned your mind to think a certain way, to immediately jump to automated reactions and responses and like mental reactions. So thinking something negative automatically, or panicking when you see maybe that your SP has posted on social media, whatever it might be, there's something conditioned negatively over time, and it's become your inner conversations now. So it's most likely that, you know, the old story is made up of a number of different elements. So it doesn't mean you have to 100% control all of that, but you need to be aware of where those thoughts and that cycle is actually coming from. So basically how you communicate about your manifestation, you know, to other people, but also, like I said, the inner conversations that you're literally just thinking to yourself, and also the assumptions that are created and are being perpetuated now have kind of gone on to autopilot. So to get them more positive and just automatically reinforce those positive habits, it's about breaking the cycle. So now we're just getting into, you know, what actually makes up this old story and what you're actually looking at to shift. So you are on the right track and you are doing it correctly in terms of your conscious manifesting techniques and habits. If you're repeating your affirmations every day, you know, you are putting in the persistence and the repetition, whether it's taking my advice. You know, I know a lot of people watch Sammy Ingram. I'm one of the OG followers of Sammy from years ago as well. So yeah, she keeps it really simple as well. But whatever coach or, you know, source of information for law of assumption that you're learning from and practicing from, is, you know, you are doing it correctly, and it does come down to repetition, which breaks down resistance. But it's not just your affirmations, because unless you're putting in a significant amount of time, or it's a manifestation, maybe that's quite simple to you, in which case you're, you know, nothing to be concerned about, or, you know, think deeper than just affirmations. But chances are, if it's something where there's an old story, which I presume is why you guys are watching this video, it's pretty much guaranteed that there's going to be more of like an ingrained negative story in your mind and your subconscious mind. So yes, you are doing it correctly. I don't want to like scare you guys or say, oh, you're doing it wrong, because I know I really recommend a lot, and like my whole basis of teaching is about repeating affirmations. So having said that, it is not enough if you have an old story, like negative reactions, automated, like autopilot negative thoughts that come up. You can't let go of maybe a conversation, a negative outcome. I know I've had clients and, you know, people who watch my content who are maybe at school or university. When something like that fails, I went to uni, and obviously I have school experiences and exams. I know how stressful and, you know, like on edge that all puts you. So letting go of things like that can be difficult because your emotions are involved. You feel, a lot of stress connected to it. It's hard to detach mentally. But if you are just looping affirmations and you do have this old story, it isn't enough, because the rest of your day, you can't just loop your affirmations and then think, okay, tick the list. It's guaranteed to shift my physical reality. That's why it's important to be aware of your thoughts, because that's what's created this result in the first place. And now the end result is unfortunately some type of negative circumstances that you're manifesting away. So throughout the day, you can't just rely on, 15, 30, 45, 60 minutes of affirming if the other 12, 13, 14 hours, whatever, 16 hours that we're awake, whatever it might be, that, you're just letting your mind go back to autopilot. You need to have some form of a mental diet, or at least be aware and, recognize all the different things that have made up the old story, where it's still playing out in your physical reality. So yes, affirming is the right method and technique. That's great. But then also, what does the rest of your day look like? Are you recognizing that maybe you get really triggered? Because your 3D reality reflects your dominant assumptions, your affirmations are shifting that. They are creating an effect because obviously it's applying repetition. However, like I said, because throughout the rest of the day, you need to be aware. If you're aware of it, that's great, a mental diet, or at least intentionally trying to be thinking conscious positive thoughts, or say, okay, I know social media triggers me, and then being aware of that and kind of detaching a little bit and being a little bit like on alert, just in the sense that you're engaged, you're consciously aware, you're self-aware. Self-awareness is key. And, you're saying, okay, if I do see something, I disengage, I detach, and I go back to my positive news story. Because affirmations are great, but you also want to make sure that you're not repeating the version of your reality that you don't want. So basically repeating the old story as if it's still true. So basically try to be aware, or at least use my advice today, or, whatever method you want, even writing yourself like a little note, whatever it might be, something to remind yourself, and start creating this habit of flipping around those thoughts of things like, maybe I'm just not good at it, maybe I'm blocked but other people seem to manifest faster, why is it taking so long, maybe I'm just gonna have to work to change this physical circumstance first. All of these negative things that are not the right way to think about manifesting. They're just analyzing the physical reality and current circumstances. Find a way to recognize that and then flip that around. These are probably the things that are holding you stuck in the old story, because you're just reaffirming the old story to yourself. It's just the logical thoughts coming up in your conscious mind, tying into those negative circumstances. And the reason it also might seem difficult to let go of, or why you have, struggled to get out of that mindset, is because your emotions might be so strong, and it might feel like, everything from that past old story is really important. It matters. Your emotions are holding you tied to it. But law of assumption has nothing to do with emotions. It doesn't really care how you feel, to put it bluntly. It's got nothing to do with your emotions, whether you're anxious and affirming 5 hours a day, or feeling super happy and not affirming at all. The emotional side of it doesn't change anything. Of course, if you're feeling good, you're probably going to think more positively, be more optimistic, but you need to put in that conscious effort, because the old story doesn't just go away on its own. So it reflects what you dominantly focus on. Also remember that if you feel bad, it does not mean that you failed or that something's wrong. Again, you can have a bad day and, not feeling at your best or feeling super positive or motivated about your manifestation does not mean that you've completely ruined it, or that it's stagnated, there's no progress, you're blocked. Everything is temporary, even the negative, even the blocks. If you keep persisting, like I said, law of assumption will reflect what you dominantly put your focus into. So it's totally okay to feel that emotion, but just be aware of the mental reaction that follows, an emotional reaction or just an emotional state. Maybe it's a day or just an hour. Like I said, something might trigger you in the moment, and you want to make sure that you're flipping that back around and not creating or holding on to a negative assumption, because that can lead to a delay. That would be what's causing a delay, not the circumstance itself, but your perception of it. And, recognizing that you can feel a certain emotion, just try not to tie it into your circumstances or keep digging into the circumstances. So something you can tell yourself is, that's just the old story. I don't even relate to that right now. And of course, just going back to your affirmations, visualizing, anything that would help you flip that back around into the version that you're actually trying to create. That's where you want to put as much of your focus as you can, because the more you repeat that instead of the old story, let's say you get reminded of the old story 3 times a day, but 150 times you visualized or looped or had a positive inner conversation and repeated your affirmations, that is obviously way more powerful. So a couple of things as well to keep note of is, don't argue with the old story. Don't try and, logically apply analysis. Again, don't overanalyze. Don't just, if you're going to have like an argument, you could say, make it positive. Like I said, a positive inner conversation where you're arguing back with an affirmation or something that reaffirms the new story. Don't overanalyze it. Don't try and dig into it. There's nothing to delve into there. Let it be. And don't ignore it in the sense that you just let it go, because that's where the lack of a mental diet comes in. You want to make sure you're actually pushing back on that. So to really kind of successfully apply thinking from the end and essentially get into the new story, if you're wondering, well, what exactly am I supposed to be doing here? You can summarize it quite concisely as consistently persisting in the new story. Thinking from the end is repeating over and over as if the new version, so whatever it is you're manifesting, is literally here right now. And those small moments, the small thoughts that you might at the moment, in the moment, think, well, what effect is this actually going to have? How is that going to shift it around? I'm still not seeing the change. I'm still not seeing the change. You want to get out of that kind of mindset, because remember, all those small thoughts, when you collate them all together and build them all up together, they actually will lead into really significant momentous shifts, because a thought here and a thought there, eventually it adds up, and you'll be like, wow, actually I flipped 200 negative thoughts and turned them around into positive today. That was crazy and tiring, but my mindset feels a lot better already. You are creating amazing significant shifts, pushing past all those blockages that are temporary. So yeah, it all builds into actually really significant shifts. So remember, it's not about being perfect. It's just about having more of a positive, dominant mental state. And, just telling yourself, the old story, it's dead to me. The old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. I'm not going to entertain that past old story because it means nothing to me. Saying things like that, reminding yourself to remove the significance from those circumstances. So I think I'm going to leave this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed that and found it useful. If you did, please do thumbs up and subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and I'll see you next time. Bye.